Come on in, grab your seats. We have a real treat.
Again, another one?
Another one. This whole weekend is full of treats. Right. Our next speaker, Trez Ibrahim, is a longtime friend of ours and of Transformed Destiny. And she is a trainer of NLP. She has a master's in education. She's an author, speaker, and coach. And she does amazing coaching with women. Some very cool things that get into goddess coaching, because I think a lot of women could learn to tap into their inner goddess a little bit more than sometimes they do. You know, we get all with society and stuff. You know, everybody gets their ideas about who they're supposed to be and what they're supposed to do, and I think a lot of times tapping into that inner goddess is a very cool thing. And so she helps women do that. She teaches NLP and hypnotherapy as well, and she's got a great presentation today on how to maintain your energy when working with clients, something I think is super important. So everybody please give a huge round of applause to Trez Ibrahim.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
All right.
Hi, how was lunch? Awesome. Well, today I'm going to talk about energy, which is one of my favorite things to talk about. I actually trained people on developing their clairvoyant abilities and healing and energy for about 18 years. So it is something that I'm very, very passionate about. Another thing I'm really passionate about talking about are relationships. And several years ago, my girlfriend and I took a trip up north to Sacramento, where a friend of ours was living at the time. We took our kids, and somebody had the fabulous idea of visiting Placerville. Anyone ever been to Placerville? It's a little old mining town. I'm not sure whose idea it was, but we basically spent the afternoon visiting 3 antique shops, having lunch at the local diner, and feeding birds at the park in the corner, which was kind of about a quarter the size of this room. And if you Googled things to do in Placerville today, it would say, visit the 3 antique shops in town, have lunch at the local diner, and feed birds at the park. And the highlight of my day was following my son into an Army surplus store. He was about 8 years old at the time, and he was fascinated with all things military. He was sure he wanted to be a Navy SEAL when he grew up. And so my friends were bored at the time, so they just waited for us outside, and I went in, watched him shop, and there was a really hot, good-looking guy that was helping my son. So I was enjoying passing the time, you know, enjoying the eye candy, as this young, hot man was helping my son and talking to, you know, really being very attentive to this 8-year-old boy. And they were talking all things military, war stories, talking about paraphernalia, talking about just all kinds of fun stuff. And so after he had kind of picked up all his little trinkets that he wanted to buy, you know, I finally came up to the register and, you know, finished the transaction of the purchase. And so as I handed my card over to this man, our fingers brushed, and I felt this jolt of electricity. Anyone ever felt that when you just feel this jolt of, you know, it's just so exciting. And it caught me off guard, and I looked up and caught his eyes, and he was just gazing at me for what seemed like hours. And to my surprise, he did ask for my phone number, and the entire car had to sit there, trapped in the car, listening to our 3-hour conversation, driving home to Southern California after our trip. And so how many of you have ever had that, like you meet someone for the first time and it's just magic? You know, there's just like this energetic pull, and you just know, you know, you just found your soulmate, and there's just something that happened. How many of you are in that relationship right now? Okay, earmuffs. It's not real. Sorry to break that to you. One of the things I wanted to demystify is just this power that we give over to energy. You know, we think of it as this mystical, magical thing, this powerful thing, and we give our consciousness away to it. We give our power away to it without really scrutinizing, without really developing an awareness of what's really going on. Because this man did I mention he was young, happened to move to Southern California, move in with me. And while I took care of him and paid all of his bills and put a roof over his head and, you know, became that type of relationship, I realized, probably not quick enough, that all there was just energy and karma, and there was nothing else. And so I wanted to talk a little bit about that. So I'm going to blow out some common myths that people hold about energy, and to help you get to the point where you understand that you are still 100% responsible for energy. And how can you own that, and how can you control that, and how can you be aware of that so that you can start to create what it is you want and not give up. You know, we talk in this world about giving up our power over to things and people and information. And so I'm going to talk about a little bit about giving our power over to energy and starting to harness that power so that we can use it to create what it is we want. So what we're going to do is, so we're going to keep ourselves from getting depleted and stay energized while working with clients. So sometimes working with clients can create that temporary drain, but if it's not handled, the drain can become pervasive. It can actually affect what you do, what you create in your life, how you manifest things. It can affect your physical body and your environment. So before we get in, I would love to find out who you are and why you're here. So you saw the topic, which is about energy, but I just kind of want to take a poll. How many of you are NLP practitioners? NLP trainers, hypnotherapists, healers, coaches? What else do we have? Reiki practitioners. Okay, you guys are everything. All right. Anything else that I missed? Educators. Awesome. Spiritual counselors. Beautiful. Anything else? Did I miss psychics? Awesome. Okay, beautiful. And why are you here? What about this energy depletion and maintaining your energy excites you, or are you curious about? Who would love to share? Yes?
I'm starting to feel.
Oh. Sorry, yeah, let's get the... I should have warned you.
Hi, I've been starting to feel a lot of other people's energies. It's at first it was confusing because I thought that I was suddenly getting very emotional all the time after I had a spiritual experience. But what I've discovered is I'm actually taking on everybody else's emotions. I'm only just tapping into when it's mine versus someone else's, and we were talking about that at lunch even.
Beautiful, thank you.
I don't know much, but I know that when I'm operating out of my own energy, that's when I really get exhausted.
Operating out of your own energy, you get exhausted?
Yes.
Okay.
And when I am in a place where I'm doing really in my right thing, in my place, I feel like I can go a long time. Not forever, but a long time.
Okay, beautiful. Thank you.
I'm sitting here thinking, where were you like 12 years ago when I used to, at one point when I was working with Mercola back in Chicago, I was the only EFT therapist there. So I would literally have a day where I would come in and have 10 EFT sessions in a row and be completely and utterly exhausted and drained because I didn't know what you're going to tell us today. So.
Awesome, thank you. All right. So the one thing I want to talk about, or just kind of we're all practitioners here, so we can agree that everything is energy, right? And we're constantly sending and receiving energy. And this energy, sometimes we make that more important than our consciousness, and that's, again, what I want us to do is step beyond that, step above that. So we look at energy as another tool, just as we look at words, and we look at people's actions, and we look at our environment, and we start to discern what it is that, what information is the energy sharing. Because energy, but when I talk about energy, I'm talking about the thoughts, feelings, emotions, beliefs, things that are tangible. Now, the space around you isn't empty. How many have ever been at a public place, maybe you're at the airport, the DMV, and you're reading a book, and you're fully engrossed in the book, and you happen to look up and you catch someone staring at you? You ever been in that situation? Or you're sitting at a red light and you're just waiting for the light to turn green, and you turn just at the right time to catch someone looking at you. Okay, how did you know to turn that? There was energy placed on you, and that is palpable. You can feel that, and you can feel that energy. So there's There's energy above us, okay? It's not just an idea, it's something you can feel. And here's the real kicker. You feel it because it's penetrating your space. You feel it because it's penetrating your space, and that energy affects you. It affects how you access your information. It affects how you access your truth. It affects how you create in life. It affects how you manifest. It affects your physical body. It affects what you attract. So we want to, again, start to discern what is this information around us. Now, energy is neither good nor bad. I don't buy into the whole good or bad energy. It's just either yours or it's not yours. And if it's not your particular brand of energy, if it's not your essence, if it's not who you are, then it doesn't work for you. It gets in the way of your brilliance. It gets in the way of your power. It gets in the way of your abilities. So we want to start to clear all of that. So again, we start to operate more fully on our own energy. We start to can return to the wholeness. What we were talking about earlier is we want to create that wholeness. And how do we create wholeness is to fill it more with our own energy. How many have ever been in a relationship like this? Have you ever been in a really, really good mood? You're in a really good mood and you walk into a room and maybe your spouse is there or a coworker or a friend, and they're just having a really rough day, and they proceed to tell you about their bad day. They lost an account at work, or they got into a fight with their spouse, or their dog died, or I don't know, something like a country song, right? They're giving you all this stuff. And because you're an empath, because you care, you try to cheer them up. And it works. They feel better, right? And then you walk out, and if you're aware enough, you kind of catch yourself. You're like, wait, what just happened? Because now I feel what? I feel lousy. Exactly. So what happened? There was that energy exchange. You took on their thoughts. You took on their emotions. You took on their feelings. You took on their problems. And you gave away your lightness, your information, because you probably gave them a lot of advice, told them a lot of great things to do, maybe, tried to lift them up. You gave them your vibration. And so so this exchange of energy, when we're not aware of it, depletes us. And I'm going to be qualifying a lot of the things I say, because exchanging information, exchanging energy is inevitable. We are energetic beings, so there's always going to be this constant move of energy. And what we want to do is raise our level of awareness, raise our level of consciousness. So these thoughts and feelings that we have, this energy is tangible, and we can feel it. So what we're going to learn today, I'm going to talk about the 3 most common myths about working with clients, the 5 steps you must take as a coach, healer, or practitioner, 3 important phases of working with clients that we have to be aware of, and actually go through these phases with each and every client. A lot of times when we're working with clients, we figure, oh, I'll take care of myself when? Later, when I have more time. And it's really important that with each and every client that we go through these phases. And we take care of ourselves, which inevitably helps us take care of our clients even more. And then I'm going to walk you through one exercise to take care of you. So myths about energy and working with clients. The first one is that being in love and light is enough to protect your energy. We always think, oh, if I'm in love and light, then that's enough. I can just go into any dark alleyway with all kinds of boogeymen and I'll be fine. And the truth is that when we develop ourselves as healers or therapists, we actually become more sensitive. Who is it that shared that you started to become more sensitive, and you increase your sensitive to all energies, to the thoughts, to the feelings, to the emotions. So it's like turning up the volume on a radio. All of a sudden everything becomes louder, becomes brighter. And highly sensitive people are intuitive, they're compassionate, they tune in. When we talk about intuition, you're tuning into another person. And in order for me to tune into you, that means I'm picking up your vibration. I'm picking up your feelings, I'm picking up your thoughts, I'm picking up your emotions. And so when we do that, we start to take it on. And if we're not conscious, we start to own it. And when I teach my clients to release energy, I remind them, any energy that you don't release within 72 hours becomes yours. You begin to own it. And so we want to release that energy constantly. We want to let go of all that energy that's coming in constantly. So the downside of being being a practitioner, a healer, a coach, is that you start to get overwhelmed by this energy. You start to get overwhelmed by the feelings, even the physical sensations, and you can't start to. It can start to affect you physically if we're not aware of it. It can start to drain you. The next one is I have to be enlightened, perfect, or have it all together before working with clients. How many of you guys have, how many of you have waited until you're perfect before you work with clients? I know I did for a while. I'm the only one? Oh, okay. The thing about this is I believe we're all designed for evolution. We're all designed to grow. There's an upward spiral of becoming that is pushing us to become greater. And the way we become greater is by expanding ourselves, expanding our experiences, expanding our ability to be around every type of experience, every vibration, every person. And the only way we can do that is by interacting. I actually had a coaching call this morning with a client who had an interesting interaction with her boss. And she says, I just don't want to talk to him anymore. And I said, well, that'd be great. I can go up at the top of the mountain and meditate and be happy. I used to say I was a great mom until I had a son. It's like and that's the thing is, and we don't, unless somebody lights us up, unless someone pushes our button, we don't know that button is there. But the real gift is getting those buttons pushed so that we can let it go. I can be happy if no one pisses me off, and don't just, I can hide myself in a corner and, and not get triggered, not get angry. But it's those times when we are triggered that we can grow. It's those times that we are pushed that we can grow. It's those times when we have experiences that forces us to move beyond our comfort zone, beyond what we already know, that allows us to become greater, to become bigger versions of ourselves. So the more people we interact with, the more experiences we have, the more wisdom we can take on, the more, the higher the vibration we can go, the more we can move beyond. Because once we move past an experience, now I've built those muscles so that if that experience comes again, I know what to do. That problem that was huge before now becomes minor. So when I'm working with clients, the beautiful thing about working with clients, because everyone's a mirror and we're all one, is that when you're working with an issue, I get to work on that same issue, however big or small it is. Because as evolutionary beings, whether or not you believe in past lives and all of that stuff, we have this collective consciousness. So we have beliefs that are collective among our entire race. The human race has certain things that we've all experienced. The lack, the limitation, the feeling not good enough, the fears, the anxieties, all of that. So when I'm working with a client who has that experience and I help them work through it, as long as I know that that person is a mirror for me, I get to grow as well. If I grow as well. I can just deflect and say, oh, well, they got some problems. Let me just help them with their problems. And I'm not going to work on myself. But when I use that as an opportunity for me to raise my vibration as well, to clear those pictures, so to speak, or those experiences, I can be working with someone who is abused, and even though I may not have been abused, there's part of me that has that belief or that has that experience. It could have been generational, it could have been societal, it could have been, past lives. And that's an opportunity for me to clear that energy as I work with a client who I'm helping with that abuse. So working with clients allows me to take my spiritual steps, allows me to grow as I help them grow. I have to have notes because I can literally go off on tangents. Seriously, tangents, because I just geek out over this. What's that?
Just repeat that last statement. So
oh God, what did I say? Working with clients allows me to take my steps spiritually. Because I believe we're all evolutionary beings. We want to grow spiritually. And the way we grow spiritually is not by hiding in a corner and meditating all day. It's by having interactions that are difficult and moving through that. And so when I work with a client who's having a difficult interaction, I help them through it. I get to grow as well. And the nice thing is I don't have to actually go through that experience. I can just clear that energy in my space. Does that answer your question? I don't know if that's what I said. Okay. I have to surround myself only with good energy. So again, my belief is there's no good or bad energy. There's no good or negative energy. There's denser energy, and again, there's energy that's not mine, that doesn't work in my system. So where do we get this energy that, if we're all love and light beings, what happens? Well, parents, teachers, the media, society projects fear onto us when we're young. And so all of that fear, that we were, raised with, we give energy to it. And as we give energy to it, we start to deplete ourselves as young children of our own information, which is everything is beautiful. A child has no fears. They're just love and light. And so we start to project that energy. And so as we project, we give the fears energy. We deplete ourselves. And so as we deplete ourselves of our own light, then we become denser. Our light doesn't